Depends on, how friendly or unfriendly the accompanying music is while all this goes on. So if you say, well, we're leaving in March, and P.S. we're not interested in. We're going to take a very tough attitude toward. You can take us to court for whatever money you want from us, and. It's not impossible for anyone, even a chartered accountant, to think of scenarios where people might not be terribly helpfully disposed to us. And the point about all of these arrangements I've talked about is they do require mutual goodwill to put them in place. I mean, some of these things, if they're not put in, if we don't continue to be members of the chemical industry body in Europe, we have a very substantial amount of chemical exports to Europe. In fact, they represent by far the majority of chemical exports to the world go to Europe, and they will just stop if we don't get an arrangement, either as part of, under whatever, any franchise. And there are other examples like that which really you are relying on goodwill to get that into place.
Given I don't want to make any political points. I just want to talk about the contingency planning part of it. But if you just stood back and said, 29th of March, no aeroplanes will fly to Europe or to here, I mean, people would just say that's absurd, wouldn't they? So how much effort do you think the Department of Transport should put into that planning compared to others? I mean, because that's the judgment they have to make, isn't it?
Well, but I think departments are being sensible about this. They're putting in in some cases, if I take some examples of DEFRA, there are things that DEFRA have recognised, contingency plans that they can't actually get into place by March, and therefore they're making sensible prioritised efforts the point about the third country, the rest of the world agricultural products export regime. That's a monstrous contingent task. They can't get all of it probably done in the time available, but what they're trying to do is to reach bilateral agreements with the top 19-odd countries who represent 90% of our food exports. That's a very sensible approach. So I am not seeing people behaving in a silly way. I'm seeing people making pragmatic decisions to prioritise what would be the biggest risks. I don't think they're all. I don't think there's a vast amount of unnecessary nugatory effort. There's quite a lot of intelligent, targeted effort because they're so short of resource. They're being very practical about it.